My name is Kinderen. I'm an organizational health psychologist, and I've of course spent most of my work life speaking to people about coping with difficult life events or managing stress. And I've been asked today to tell you a little bit about stress and how I think COVID impacted that for all of us, and some tips on what we can do with it. I think the important thing that we always have to remember is that stress really is very normal. We have to have it. In fact, we'd be dead without it. We needed to get up in the morning and to not get hit over by a bicycle in the streets, and we needed to cope with deadlines at work. So really, under these acute conditions, stress is very normal. We have this fight or flight response and our body activates, and then afterwards we recover. Our brain kicks in and says, don't worry, it's okay, you can calm down, and we go on with life as normal. But when it becomes a problem is actually when it becomes chronic and our body keeps kicking into this panic mode as if there's a big stressor, when actually there isn't one. And also our minds play a big role in this, of course, as well, because we start worrying about things that could happen or should happen or haven't happened or happened before. And this, of course, activates our body into this response of something's happening, I have to release stress hormones, I have to keep someone alert, I have to stop cell renewal happening because it's not important right now. And so we have all these physical responses that really affect our health in terms of sleep and, as I said, cell regeneration. We develop all kinds of complaints and aches and pains and headaches and muscle aches. And this is under chronic stress when we don't recover well enough. In this way, COVID was quite a good example of the impact of this. We saw suddenly this major life event, this big stressor that came into our lives. Nobody knew how long it would last. Our control on it was very low. And our worry around it was big. And on top of it, it changed like all our norms. So our access to normal routines of how we recovered, seeing our friends, going to church, meeting in groups, going to the gym, all our normal routes to kind of recovery from stress were suddenly either limited or taken away. And I saw a big impact of this in my practice. We just suddenly saw people coming with real cognitive complaints as well, struggling to concentrate, feeling low, anxiety. And we know that a lot of this is because of what happens in our brain under stress. When we're stressed for a long time, our brain keeps releasing, or our body releases all these stress hormones, and our brain actually, to protect us or to help us cope, does all kinds of strange things, which explains this kind of brain fog and poor concentration and withdrawal. And you can imagine that this is a bit of a vicious circle. If this goes on for a long time, we also feel like we're not worthy, we lose confidence, we feel like no one needs us anymore. And so you see this massive knock-on effect, not just physically from the stress, but also psychologically. And so I think when you talk about what do we do, I think the important thing is to recognize in yourself, is it acute stress that I'm struggling with, just short repeated moments, but I recover in between? In which case, try and, lower your stressors. But if it's chronic and you find yourself constantly in this panicked state and you're sleeping badly and you're withdrawing and these other mood or cognitive symptoms are coming in, then I always say to people, focus quite simply on calm mind and calm body. Calm mind, you can think of things like limiting your worry time, or things like speaking to people who can advise you or help you prioritize between what's important or not, or prayer or mindfulness practices. These are all ways to kind of calm the mind, but also just calming the body. So we know from research, exercise, social interaction, music are great mechanisms. And in this way, I always think as Christians, we have access to these fantastic realm of resources, right? Because we not only have our spiritual support to give us perspective, but we also have a community of people and certain routines and things we can rely on within that as part of our sort of recovery reset mechanism. So I think as Christians, we're probably one up on many people in terms of how we can cope with stress.